Hi guys, today I'm going to interview a couple who are veterinarians and they have graduated from Kerala Veterinary and Animal Sciences University, Pukot, Dr. Manoj Thomas and Dr. Chinju Johnson. And Dr. Manoj Thomas is currently a licensed vet in Canada. And Dr. Chinju Johnson, she has completed her PhD from University of Calgary, Canada, and now she is currently in the process of getting a veterinary license in Canada. So let's know more about veterinary life and some experiences which they can share. So let's start. So first of all, I would like to ask, how did you guys reach Canada?
Yeah, I think Chinju might answer that question.
So, while I was doing my BCSE in Kerala, I was interested. I had a lot of seniors who were going abroad for their higher education. So I was also interested. So during my internship, I started looking into these options, and somehow I got connected with a supervisor in Canada. It was through our Dr. George Chaddy. He introduced me to a supervisor in Canada, and I think I was very lucky, and I got admission the next year itself, and then and we got married the same year, and so I applied for a student visa in Canada, and then I can also apply for an open work permit for my spouse. So that's how we both ended up in Canada. Yeah.
Okay, so it's you first. You got the opportunity to come to Canada, and Manoj Chetan joined you, right?
Okay, yeah, so we came together.
Yeah, we came together because when we apply for a student visa, at the same time we can actually apply for a spouse visa. If you are already married. So
I think most of the people don't know about that. Like along with your wife or husband, those who are coming to study in Canada, your spouse can also join at the same time. You can land in Canada together. They most of them don't know about that.
Yeah, so that's the one very good. Sorry, that's the one very good thing with the Canadian process, because when you actually get a student visa, your spouse will get an open work permit. It's not like they are just joining and coming here. You will get an open like a work visa, and which you when you enter, you will get it like an open work permit, so that you can work anywhere in any industry in Canada. No questions asked until your wife has like a student visa or like any valid visa. So that's a one good thing here, and then we came together here, and first we did some odd jobs and things while she was in university, and after like 2 years I was here. I was still working some odd jobs and preparing for my exam, and once I actually worked for like 2 years in Canada, then I became like a Canadian, I have Canadian work experience, right? So I applied for like a PR, permanent residency, because as she was still a student, she was in PhD program, right? So she cannot, she will be only finished by 4 years or 5 years. So I applied for the permanent residency, and then we both got approved, because we applied together for that, and we got approved for that, and then everything was very easy from that time.
We applied through the express entry. We had enough marks because they mainly look for the IELTS score. That's very important. We need some Canadian experience, and because we are both BCSE, our degree is considered like a master's equivalent, because we have 5 years of undergraduate degree, so that gives us some more marks. So everything added together gave us good, we got accepted on the first application itself, and then we got PR.
And it was a pre-corona period,
Yeah.
So it was a pre-corona period, so things were very fast. We got everything like in 3 months, actually, When we applied, everything was completed like in 3-4 months, and we got our PR card like in around like 3-4 months time. So now it will be like little bit delayed, if someone seeing this one and telling that, okay, oh, we applied for this time and not till now, we are now like just waiting for response. So I would say like just wait, because we got it only because we were in a pre-corona period. So you are lucky at that time.
Yeah. Where are you guys currently working? Yeah.
Okay. So we both work in an emergency practice in Canada, so which is not like not very familiar in many other countries, even in India, an emergency practice in veterinary medicine. So this is like a 24-hour hospital, where you actually have like one part is actually like mainly emergency, and other part is like a general practice, In general practice wing is actually like mainly work from like maybe like a 9 to 4 or 9 to 5, even like it can go according to the demand up to like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, okay, where you can actually bring the animals for like vaccines, like also like elective routine surgeries, and all those things, and also like the normal things, normal things like what we say like ear infections, and having diarrhea, vomiting, any of those things, like mild things. The other thing is like a emergency practice, where you can actually rush your animal into, without taking a prior like a what do you call it? Yeah, anything like that. You don't have to actually like take a prior admission, or you don't have to book any appointments, nothing like that. You can just walk in, and things like that. But it's same like the human medicine. It's like a triage base, when you actually come into the hospital, a veterinary nurse or a veterinary technician will actually do a triage, to assess that if this animal is actually in a critical situation or need to be seen, why we are actually telling that, because sometimes our hospitals get flooded with cases, and you have to try it, and because most of the time we might have only like 3 or maybe a maximum number of 4 vets at a time in a hospital. So and like sometimes it will be like if it is even like a 1 or 2 vets, so you have to triage them first and see that who gets the priority. So the one who came first will never get the priority. It's already always depending upon the critical nature of the like patient, Yeah. So that is where we actually work, and
so it's in the province called Alberta, and we are in a small city called Lethbridge.
Yeah.
It's close to Calgary. It's like a 2-hour from our nearest airport is Calgary. So it's like a 2-hour drive from Calgary. But it's like we have a university and all here, so it's like getting to be like Calgary. Yeah. So I also work in this family pet 24-hour emergency hospital. But because I have a temporary license, also I don't work overnight or anything. I only can work when there's another veterinary doctor already working there. So I work usually the morning shift, like 9 to 7 or 10 to 8. Where I usually take care of the general appointments and elective surgeries.
One question to Manu Chetan. So you were there with an open work permit. So immediately did you get a job as a veterinarian, or like is there any chance that you can work any job related to veterinary side if you are a veterinarian still in Canada? Is there a possibility that we can work with the veterinarian with our degree in India?
Yes, that's a tricky question, because it has like both like 2 different sides. Okay, because when I came here, we came here with like 2 different minds. We were not completely sure, because since you got accepted into a master's program first, then like I did not actually start my examination process right away. That's what I'm telling. If I actually start my examination process right away, and I have like at least like BCSE or something in my hand, then you can actually get a job here in Canada now. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that means like you can actually you can actually say that, okay, I have like completed some credentials, and now it's a candidate market in Canada, so it's actually like, anyone who has like at least some experience in veterinary can actually get a job, because here, like, we have a lot of scarcity for the, like, trained staff. Okay. So, but at that time, it was the different time, it was the pre-corona time. So, like, we did not have this much animals and people and everything here. So it was a little bit tough. And as I told you, like, because as I did not actually start any examination process until like almost like 2-year mark, and when Chinchu got her like a master's upgraded to PhD, that is when, like, we thought like a little bit more seriously. Then it was like more, it was a little bit effort at that time, as like, foreigners were not like that much accepted at that point. But now, as I told, it's very easy if you actually start like your registration and how like at least the first or like the exam finished, then most of the even the, like, the corporate hospitals, started accepting, like, client candidates who are with the like, restricted licenses or something like that,
But coming back to the question, so if you are coming from India directly with just the Indian license, it's still hard. It's not easy to get into a clinic. Sometimes they don't even accept for volunteering. People are little, I feel, judgmental of any other non-accredited university. So it's very hard, I would think, even now, to get into volunteering or anything, because I have had many juniors also talk to me. So they never got even to volunteer without at least that BCSE on hand. So at least you have to be in the system of Canada. So you have to register with the NAVLE. You have to be at least registered there, at least one exam done, and have at least one license. So by finishing BCSE, you get a supervised license. So they require a minimum of a simple license on you to be able to even enter a veterinary clinic to touch animals. So I think that's the standard. We don't come with the idea that you come with an Indian license, they are not going to allow us to. That's what happened to us. So we know this is still the same thing. You won't get to touch animals. I think that's what frankly.
That is true. Yeah. But one more thing to add, like in those cases, like if there is an urge for someone from India, that is for actually, especially for lady vets, because lady vets has like a more opportunity as like a veterinary assistant or like even like a veterinary technician post, if they have like the Indian license and they start
veterinary assistant and veterinary receptionist and all, do we need to clear this BCSE, or should be registered in the NEB?
No need to be, you don't have to be actually, but you should know that there are courses actually here in Canada for like, if there are veterinary receptionists, is actually having an academic course, and veterinary assistant is also having an academic course, even though they are not licensed, but there are like specific courses that you are supposed to do, because it's a simple thing, like, because most of the time when we are actually talking to, they are getting a phone call and veterinary receptionist coming and asking us something, we will be actually talking to them in like, veterinary, medical vocabulary, and how they understand what we are actually talking is actually from their course, because they are actually learning this vocabulary there, they understand it right away what we are actually talking to them, and they actually explain it in layman's terms to the client, so that you don't have to actually like, struggle to do that, So that is how actually it actually helps the veterinarians, from coming from India to actually start. I have some friends who actually came working in Ontario, there's some still working on BCSE, but they somehow managed, it's not easy, but somehow managed to be like a part of the veterinary team, because there are like foreign veterinarians too, right? Some of the foreign veterinarians, when they own a clinic, they might actually accept, even the foreign trained vets as their assistants or something, while they are actually working towards their like veterinary credentials here.
But veterinary technician is a totally different job. It takes license.
That's what. That was my second question.
Yeah, so we cannot practice as a technician without a license. So if with a supervised license, we can work as a technician, even though I should say we are not as qualified in the skills as the veterinary technicians in Canada, but you can actually practice as a technician.
Okay.
You are licensed to practice.
So to write the veterinary technician license, to get the veterinary technician license, do we have to take a course, or is there any license like veterinary license there in Canada?
You can actually write the veterinary technician exam without actually going to a school. But the thing is, but you have to actually finish a few credentials for that, because you can actually work in a hospital to achieve a veterinary technician a license, but you have to finish certain hours. You have to actually get attested by your head technicians or anybody in the hospital to say that okay, this person has worked this many hours here, and also know about to do this thing and this thing and those things. Like there's a list of
techniques that
they have to be known. When you know all those things, and in Canada, people don't sign just because you are a friend. They sign only if you really know it. Because it is there, because it's like someone signing from a school, right? It's the same, right? Because if you don't know the technique and you're actually signing for them that you know this technique, and if this person go to next hospital telling that okay, I have this degree, and if I don't know what to do, then it's on you, right? So people don't sign it like that here, okay? So what happens is when you actually finish all those things, then you are actually okay to write. You still have to actually sit for the exam, There's a licensing exam for veterinary technicians, So you have to still sit for that final examination. And then once you pass that final examination, you can actually go for it. Here people do some people who actually work as veterinary assistants for a long time, eventually they actually work towards their a veterinary technician credentials, Yeah, they do. In our hospital, we have seen one person, two people did it earlier, and there's a third veterinary assistant working towards, because you have to register with the school first, actually, but you don't have to go to school, and then you finish the exam at the end.
Better to take a course and then go through the licensing process. Some of the people from here ask me they are a livestock managers here, so they want to become a technician there. So is it better to take a course there and then become a veterinary technician, or like a livestock officer? Is it it's simply coming there and taking that license will be difficult for them, right? So
yes, it will be. I would really suggest to go through a school, because I'm not actually saying that people from other countries are not competent enough, but the thing is every country has their own system, their own way of doing things. It will be different in different countries. It doesn't. I'm not telling that those countries are not having standards. They will have their standard. Sometimes their standards will be much higher than what we see in other parts of the world. But the thing is every country has their own system of doing things. They have a different way of practicing medicine. And they have different ethics. And so you need to learn all these things. You need to learn things. So I would actually say go through a school. That is much better. But for veterinarians, it's much more difficult, right? Because the other one is actually a 2-year course, And if you want to go through a veterinary school, it's difficult because most of the veterinary school does not accept foreign vets,
Yeah.
And then so not foreign vets, even foreigners, And also it's more than 4.5 years of program, and tons of money.
I think that that costs a lot, right?
Yeah, it's not like a veterinary technician course. It costs enormous amount of money to go through a vet school here.
Yeah, so international students, the fees is 2 to 3 times higher than any resident or citizen. So that's another thing to think about when you plan a course here.
Is there any other scope for veterinary technicians in Canada?
Yes, like, because if you come here, because then if you want to practice here, like, other jobs like related to the veterinary are like not only like veterinary technicians, you can actually also go for like, the food processing areas, mainly because all of those areas are like highly regulated here, like a meat technology, and you also like work with like the dairy technologies. All those areas are highly regulated, so you can actually have job even in government. It's a government sector job, you can actually get it. But only problem is like most of the time they accept only Canadian residents, even though their website says like, you can get a job even if you're outside, but they always accept like when people are already here. So the thing is like, you come here, get a veterinary technician degree and work in a hospital, and meanwhile you can actually work with like, the things outside, and see that, okay, I want to move to like a more like a farm sector, or like a large animal practice or anything like that. So there are like a lot of opportunities like that. But only thing is like, you need to be here for that. You cannot actually get any of those jobs like while you are abroad. So you need to be here in Canada. Once you're here, it's much easier things. So the first thing that you need to know is like, how to come here. So that is a easy thing. That's a question like, you always people will be asking. So the easiest way to come here is like the same way we did, get a student visa, because the student visa is the easiest way to come to Canada. And if you actually apply for jobs and this and that, it's going to take like enormous amount of time, and sometimes you will never get accepted. It's not because of your merit or any problem. It's that is how it works. We have no idea like how they actually issue this work visa and everything, especially. So the thing is like, if you want to really come to Canada, the best thing is actually get admitted to a school. Doesn't matter what kind of course you are going through. You can even actually get a like veterinary assistant. You can actually apply for a veterinary assistant, which is only like 1 to 2 years depending upon the school. So get that thing, get that there like admission and come here. Once you come here, you have opportunity to actually like go to wherever you want. So take it like go through this student visa program is the best thing to come to Canada.
So one more question. So what about in government sector, if we are like getting in as a veterinary officer, like that post, not as a veterinary technician, do we still have to clear NAVLE?
Yes. We need the full licensing to be completed to get to as a veterinary officer in any of the meat processing units. So many graduates from Kerala or even India are working in CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, but all of them have to go through the whole licensing process and be fully licensed in Canada. You need like a full license to be able to work as a veterinary officer. I think I would say 60 to 70% of people choose that because it's more, I don't know if it's stress-free, but some people say it's more less stressful than working as a doctor here.
Okay. You mentioned as like if you get a BCSE, you will get a supervisory license, right?
Yes.
Then after NAVLE, you will get a limited license, and too in a certain. Okay.
No, so after you complete BCSE, you will get a supervised license.
Yeah.
So there is only like three kind of license. So one is a supervised limited license. Then you will get a temporary license and a full license. So after BCSE, you just do BCSE, you will get the supervisory license, where you can work under direct supervision of a vet. Like you have to be always closely watched by another veterinarian. That's supervised license. The second one you get after NAVLE, and in Canada you have to do PSA also. In the US, I think you just need NAVLE. They don't have the PSA element, but because in Canada we have PSA, we need to do both NAVLE and PSA. Only then you get the temporary license.
PSA means it's a pre-surgical assessment, that is actually like an examination done either in a cadaver or in an animal model, not in a live animal, where you actually just perform a laparotomy and show them that, you are ready for doing a surgery in a real surgery in a real animal, Mainly they are looking at your, your how you can actually prepare yourself for an aseptic surgery, and also how confident you are actually, doing the midline incision and performing a surgery. Yeah.
Yeah. So after PSA, you get your temporary license. So in temporary license, it's not direct supervision; it's more indirect supervision. So you can work in a clinic as long as another doctor is in the premises. So another doctor is in the clinic. You can do your surgeries alone. You can go talk with clients alone and all. So, but the doctor has to be in the premises. That's the criteria.
Yeah.
Then once you finish the last CPE, you get the full license where you are when you can work alone as a veterinarian.
Can you please explain the steps involved in the registration process, like from the registration process until you get the vet license in Canada?
So the first step you have to do is to register through NAV. It is the National Examining Board of Canada. So you have to be registered into that. Now to register in that, in the website they have mentioned some required documents and all. So I think mainly what I recollect is you need a transcript from your veterinary school. So usually it has to come in a sealed envelope. What I did was that I had the university send it directly to the NEB, which is one option. Sometimes sometimes it's not possible when you are already in Canada. So the other option is that when you come from Canada, if you come from India, you can bring your transcript in a sealed envelope, sealed by the university, and you can send it directly to NEB. They will accept that, your transcript. The second, they need your degree certificate, that you have the veterinary degree. I think that has to be an attested form, from India. If you come, you can attest it, or you can notarize it in Canada with a law firm. They usually do the notarization. Then thirdly, you need your English, proof of your English equivalent. So you either they accept IELTS, written in the last 2 years. It has to be an academic IELTS. There is a minimum marks you need. Or sometimes if you study in an English medium higher secondary school, that documentation is also valid. If you are unable to write IELTS, they also accept that document. Again, it has to be attested or notarized. And then basically they need 2 references. One should be from a veterinarian from India or here. It can be anywhere, a veterinarian, and the other from a citizen, any person, just to show that you are having good, behavioral skills and stuff. And then basically they need your identification, your passport or anything like that. So once you submit all that, NEB, once you're fully registered, there is a fee you have to pay every year. I think you are registered in NEB, you have to pay. Once you register, then you can book for your exam. So you can only book one by one. So you can book for BCSE first. BCSE, so you can book through NEB. It is available in almost all the cities. It's like a multiple choice exam. So once you book, you write the exam, then you can book for the sequential exam. Once you get your pass mark, you can always book for the next exam. Only thing, NEB gives you only 7 years to complete the whole exam. So there is that timeline. Time starts ticking once you start register for NEB. Yeah, so I think that's it. And then once you finish everything, you have the NEB, you will have all that, exam results and everything comes in NEB. So you have to pay some registration fee, and every year you have to pay NEB some fees to be registered in the board till you finish your exam.
It's better to actually, if you are planning to write NAVLE or get a vet license, it's better always, if you are confident enough, or if you are planning to get a license only, you start the registration process, right?
Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's
or
like
if you have a plan to come to Canada soon, you know, have a way to come to Canada, then maybe start writing, because it's getting harder and harder, I feel, to come to, you know, Canada because of the COVID and everything. So things can get delayed all the time. So as long as, if you are in Canada, it's always a good time you can start registering. But if you are abroad, I would make sure you have a good idea that you are going to be coming to Canada very soon, because the time is
then only
maybe
you'll
important.
start, then only you'll recommend to register, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, what are the resources you guys use for preparing NAVLE, BCSE, and also for CPE?
So regarding the materials for BCSE, you wanna go?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used mainly like something called Zuku review, you know,
Okay.
because as I started studying, I actually started like looking at the textbooks and everything, you know, but it did not work very well because the course and also like the syllabus was like enormous, you know, and you cannot actually go through them like within few months before the examination. So I actually looked online and found this special website called Zuku Review, where they have a program specifically for BCSE. You know, it actually has like a question pattern and like the answers exactly that is mimicking the BCSE. You know, you may not actually find the exact questions in the exam. You may find it, but the thing is like if you actually go through the complete questions in Zuku review, and you actually learn the explanations of the answers given there, and once in a while, if you actually refer the materials they have a lot of materials there, and if you actually refer them, and you can actually go through all of them like within like 3 months, you know, and maybe up to a 6 month, you know, maximum, you know, you need it. You don't need like more time than that. And if you actually go through them, I am almost sure that you can actually easily pass the BCX exam. You know, I'm not telling that you will actually get 100% questions or anything like that, but you will pass the exam. You know, and that's the only thing that you need. You know, because you already studied all these things like in your undergraduate. You know, so you are not actually studying. You are just refreshing it, and you are actually practicing for an exam. And I did it, and I asked Chinju to do the same thing, and she did the same thing, and we both got through the BCSE exam, and we in like one try, you know, we didn't have to try for anything else. We just got through, both of us like passed in one try, and the same thing happened with the NAVLE. When you go to NAVLE, it's a totally different thing, you know, because it is not only actually testing your knowledge, it's also testing a few other things. So one is like how how you are actually making a judgment, you know, in an example, you know, how you are actually making a judgment behind the example, you know, how you are actually telling the client about how things are actually going. So all these things are actually being assessed in like a NAVLE exam, and also NAVLE also will actually will be examining your capacity to work under the stress, in a work under the very stressful environment, and also make decisions in a very short time, you know. So they will be actually checking it, and at the same time you need to know, even for this examination you don't have to score 100% for getting a pass. That is a simple key in that, you know. Even if you are actually making some mistakes or anything like that, you can still pass the examination. That's a simple thing. I mean, people actually get lost in these examinations thinking that, okay, I made a mistake, you know, and that's the end of the world. No, if you made a mistake, just to go to the move on, you know, just to go to the next question and answer it, you know, and just to go by that and take it, and just to think that, okay, if I get like 80% or 70% or something like that, depending upon how your question is actually selected by the computer. So once you actually pass that much extra pad, you know, usually it says like maybe around 70% can actually give you a pass, you know, so pass mark. So if you actually pass that much, you know, you can actually get into the next step. Okay. And for NAVLE, what we use this again, actually we use like a software, you know, it's called Vet Prep. It's called Vet Prep. You can actually include those things in your link. I can actually send to you. So
I
Vet
think
Prep is actually.
I have already made some videos regarding the resources, but I just wanted to know what you guys were using.
Yeah,
and also,
we actually use the Vet Prep. To be honest, I did not actually use anything else than I am actually telling, okay, because I don't have to lie, right? So I actually used the Vet Prep for practicing for the NAVLE, and I actually did but when you actually say Vet Prep, don't just think that I just did the questions and I went to the exam, okay? I just did whatever. I did not actually finish the complete material, but whatever we did finish is thorough. Okay.
So with Vet Prep, it's very similar to BC, like the Suku, thing. You have a lot of questions and answers, but the questions are much more larger. So in BCSE, you are expecting a one-line question, what is the name of this thing? So, and there are 4 answers. But in NAVLE, you will expect like a 5-line. So you need maybe 20 seconds to read that question, and then you will have answers on that. So Vet Prep, the questions will be very similar. So you get into practice. So that's where the English comes handy also. So if you take a lot of time to understand the question, so for a person who's not familiar with the language, NAVLE is going to be very difficult, because you cannot spend time on understanding a question. You need to be very fast in understanding that 5 lines. There you have a minute to finish a question, because it's like 1 hour small questionnaires. 1 hour there is like 60 questions or 55, I think. So you have a minute. In that minute, you have to read the question, answer, and everything. So that Vet Prep will help you get familiarized with that type of questions they have and that big question. And then, just by answering those questions, you are not going to pass NAVLE. What I find is that they will have explanations, so you need to read that. So in the explanations, there will be more information or more data on other questions too. And then they'll also have other like PDF documents on certain exotics and stuff which are not covered in the questionnaire. So you need to have a little bit more. Just not answering the questions will give you a pass mark, but you need to go through their whole material, whole resources to pass it. And then what I found handy was that even after finishing this, the NAVLE is conducted by the International Council of Education or something. So in their website, there will be few ICVMA or something. So it's like an International Convention of Veterinary Medicine or something. So they have few questionnaires in their website. We need to pay some money to get those questionnaires. And what I found was that everybody told me, you just finish that questionnaire and the percentage you get will be very similar to your NAVLE score. I didn't believe it. So I did that exam. I paid, I think, $50 for one full question pack. I did the exam. The first one was not good. I failed that. So I did one more, after practicing a little bit more on that Vet Prep, I did again, and I got a pass mark, and then that's when I went for the exam. My mark was almost very similar what I got in that practice exam. So I feel it is that exam that they give us like a very good representation of how you will do in NAVLE. So I think paying some money for that will be beneficial. What we both found helpful.
Yeah, that's very good, because because when we actually go through all those online materials, and then we actually made our own notes when we are actually preparing it, and those notes we actually reused for refreshing, and we both use the pattern also for the examination, we use the specific pattern where we actually appeared for the BCSE, and then we actually booked for the NAVLE in the very similar, within 4 to 6 months of period, okay? Because we both wrote BCSE in December, so that we will get our results in January, and we booked for our NAVLE in February, and we actually wrote our exams in April, May, winter, okay? So that actually helped us to have that to not to break that chain of information, that we had in our head, right? So we actually went from the BCSE, and we have some basic knowledge there, and with the basic knowledge we actually built on the top of that, directly on the top of that, without a break, for the NAVLE. So it actually took only 6 months for us to finish that exam. And we actually worked that one very well. And we both got passed our NAVLE and also the BCSE in our first attempt. So it's actually like a very doable examination, if you actually follow it thoroughly, but most of the people they just pass the BCSE and take a break, and then what happens is whatever you studied in the BCSE is gone, then you have to build it from the foundation again, and then you have to work on that. So BCSE is a good foundation to work for the NAVLE, and so if you actually lose it, then you have to start again. So if you actually build on the same thing, then you can actually go through the next one and you can actually pass this examination in 6 months, and if you actually work maybe a little bit more, maybe in a year, depending upon how much time you have to invest and things like that, but you can actually easily do it in a year, but you have to just go it continuously, and also these exams have a lot of money invested and time invested, so it's better to do it in just one stroke, we don't have to actually repeat too many things in that.
Okay. Yep. So what about the CP? How did you guys prepare for CP? And how Chinjiti is preparing, and how did Manoj prepared all three?
So I think for the PSA, it's a pre-surgical exam. So for that, I mean, usually I did not get much on-hand experience on animals, before doing the PSA exam, because for PSA, it's on a cadaver. You need to practice your aseptic techniques, like your gloving and gowning, how you scrub and everything, which you can practice at home, watching all the YouTube videos. There are a lot of YouTube videos, even it's from the NAVLE or the American Veterinary Association has a lot of videos on how to prepare yourself, scrub, gown, glove and everything. So you can watch all that, you can prepare using that. And then you need to make an incision and suture it, which you can. The website mentions what are the requirements, like what is the size of incision they want, how many layers of suture they want, and what are the kind of suture materials and things like that. So you just follow their rules, and you can practice it using any materials at home, basically. So you don't need much on-hand experience to do the PSA exam. You need to be very thorough. At least you need some practice, and you need the speed also. Like it's a timed exam, so you get, I think, 1.5 hours to complete the whole process. So if you fail, the time is important. If you fail time, then you are automatically a fail. So timing, and they will also check your confidence level and everything. They can easily understand if this is the first time you're doing or you have been practicing. And also it's totally their judgment. So make sure you're confident and practice everything.
Yeah, so most of these exams are actually conducted by the these teachers,
Mostly
because
retired.
most of them are in universities, so they are teachers. So the thing is they see students every day, So when you're actually doing one thing, they will actually know right away if you are really well versed in that, or you are doing it for the first time. They can really understand it very well because they are teachers. So they have that eye. So when you're actually going in, so make sure that you do it multiple times, so that you will develop that confidence. And once you have that confidence, then the teachers will know that this guy has done it many times, and so they will actually just leave you there, and they don't have to actually stay there or something like that. And for the CPE, you for the small animal practice, you need to practice in a hospital, I would say. You have to practice, So if it is better if you are in a Canadian settle, environment, because when you are actually in a Canadian environment, you will know that how it is to be practiced here. You will know how the ethics of the practice happening here, all those things,
how to deal
with the clients, because the teacher will be acting as a client, and she will be expecting that, how you actually, work with a client in a normal clinical general practice, a general practice, environment. Okay. So, and for the other parts, like we know that there is like other parts, right? There are like necropsy, and also radiology, and also like a large animal practice, especially with farm animals, right? And you will have like in large animal practice, you will have two sections. One is like actual cows, large animals, and also like small large animal like either sheep, goat, or like cow, and also you will have like a equine. That is actually a totally separate examination. Okay. To be honest, like here the examinations are like most of the foreign veterinarian examinations are actually more concentrated on the small animal part. Okay, which comes with the small animal medicine. Okay, and also it has like a surgery. That is like a space surgery. It's a space surgery that you get, and anesthesia. Okay, these three parts are like more important in the exam, and most of the students actually fail in these parts. Okay, and the large animal parts are actually like if you have like a good knowledge, you can actually pass. Because to be honest, when I came to the Canada, as I told, I worked only like 1 month in India, right? That is a whole large animal practice that I had, Other than that, I had like during my internship, or like during our clinical year, and after that, it was like a long break, like almost like how many years? 3-4 years. So no, 5 years before I go to the exam, and I haven't touched a cow. I haven't seen a horse or anything like in person, And I actually tried, it's a good idea to actually go to somewhere to get a hands-on practice, if possible. Okay. To be honest, if possible, go to somewhere you get a training, at least to go for like a week kind of training before going to the exam. That is the best thing to do. Okay. But unfortunately, I didn't get that chance, because I tried. And as I told, at that time, it was not easy, not like many people actually had that environment, because small animal was easier because many of the foreign veterinarians have like a small animal hospital here, so that you can actually go with them and practice, and I practiced at least 7 or 8 months before I went to the CPE examination, that is actually needed. And I actually waited for my CPE examination until my supervisor doctor told me that you are good, you can go and write the examination, and he said that in like 7 months or 8 months, he told you are good to go for examination. That is when I actually booked, registered, and at that time it was much easier to get an examination, not like Corona time now here, and I actually got the examination much faster at that time. Okay. But now Chinjo has actually registered for the examination, still waiting after 6 months, she did not get a call. Okay. So,
so it's much harder to get the CPE nowadays. So what I feel is that for that small animal parts, the medicine, surgery, and anesthesia, you need, especially the anesthesia, I don't know. So I haven't had much experience with anesthesia back in India. So I feel that you have to be working in a clinic, be familiar with the anesthetic, the circuits and everything. You need to explain all that. So working in a clinic gives you a fairly good chance. Not just working, but you need to have few months, at least 6-7 months of experience talking to the clients, getting all that clinical medicine, which are the most common diseases that we encounter. Surgery is also not that easy. You only have 2 hours to finish a big space surgery. Again, that PSA part is also there. You need to do the gowning, gloving, everything. Plus, you need to do the full surgery also. And so that part, then the rest of the necropsy and all, I think still you can, if without an actual, you can watch videos. That's helpful. Radiology is also a little bit more easy. Equine, most people say that if you have at least touched a horse, and you can do some minimal exam of an equine and have some knowledge of the diseases and lameness, you can pass. Mostly we need to focus on the small animal, and I think working in a clinic is the best way to get trained in that.
One question to Chinti. So you have finished your PhD, and so you're doing you're in a process to get the veterinary license. So you can try for any other options like after PhD, like job opportunities. So that's my question.
So I mean, frankly saying, so I finished my PhD. We were a family then, so we had a lot of things to consider, before getting a job. So Manoj had finished his licensing procedure just at that time, so I had to move with him at that point. So he gets like a first job, get a practice there. So I did apply for some jobs. I did apply for a postdoc program and also some jobs, but I got this postdoc position and all, but then, as a family, we had more things to think about, that made it difficult for me to get a postdoc or even work in Calgary for a while. But my supervisor did advise me that, even because we are veterinarians from India, right? So that degree is very important in Canada. It can give you, in terms of financially and stability, that can give you very good financial stability. Having a veterinary license with you, plus the PhD is an asset if you have a NAVLE with you. So he did advise me that if you are having to take a break, get that licensing done. So if I'm thinking, so my main interest is more like teaching. I'm not a very big research fan, but I like teaching aspects. So if I want to teach in a veterinary school here, I need to have both a PhD or not a PhD, like I need to sometimes have a board certification plus I need to have the NAVLE too, because to touch animals and all, I need to have a NAVLE. So, and also there are certain, there is this meat processing plants and there are certain research facilities in Canada. For example, there are a lot of research in the agricultural industry. So having a PhD is not only needed, we also need like a veterinary license to practice or have hands-on, work with animals. So those are the advantages, if you have a veterinary license plus a PhD with you. Financially speaking, I don't know how much it will improve, because with the veterinary, license, I think financially we are pretty stable. So, but if you are interested more in teaching, I think it comes to your passion. If you are interested in teaching or research, then it helps you fulfill those interests, not financially, but it helps you fulfill your passion.
Not like after PhD, you won't find a job. So it's because like it's your personal interest that lead you here, right? So
yeah,
it's
so I think
there are job opportunities after PhD and MS in all over Canada, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of opportunities, like all my seniors have got into positions now. The only problem is that if you are working as a veterinarian versus, not all jobs after a PhD offer you that high salary. In terms of salary, I'm thinking I might, if now even the salary I'm getting now as a temporary license versus what I would be getting after a PhD might be a little different. It depends on the type of job you land into, but I felt that without a license, I may not be, I won't be taking out that, we spent 5 years undergraduate education, 5 years, 4 years of PhD to get that full benefit of that 10 years we spend on education. We need to have that.
So if you are compared to if you in Canada, if you are compared to a DVM graduate, so in order to get that equivalency, we need to clear NAVLE. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes. So even with the PhD, I'm not still up to a DVM student here, right? So once I finish my licensing, then I am par with a DVM student here. It was basically my interest. You come with a PhD, you finish PhD, you can still land very good jobs. That was not my personal interest. I still was not very, after 4 years, I was not very. I would say I'm still okay with research. I like research, but it's not something I wanted to pursue as like an academic. I did not want to be an academic researcher long term. I understood it's a very difficult job. It's a lot of time consuming job. It rewards you financially, but it was not something I personally had an interest in. So that's why I wanted to see what, getting a veterinary license can offer me too. So, but I feel that it helped me a lot, even if I decide that I wanted to go back into academic fields, teaching, not research. But I think this would add into my resume very nicely. It would fit into that. So it's completely my supervisor who told me this. This is because he also, almost all of the professors who taught me in the university have the DVM degree plus the PhD there. Some of them are graduates from Canada, but my supervisor is a graduate from Kerala. So he also has his veterinary licensing. So that's how he can do, practice with animals. So that's what made me go into this direction.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to add is when you have a veterinary degree, especially in Canadian context, it gives you a lot of mobility, because not like US, US has a lot of schools and agricultural and a lot of veterinary research that's going on a lot, because US has a much bigger population than Canada, right? So they have a lot of schools, a lot of research facilities, and it's everywhere. And but Canada is big country, but with a very less population. It has maybe a population that is matching to just the population of Canada. So it's a very small population, so it has only less schools at this moment, right? Yeah. So the things will change in future, but so the chances for to be in those institutions are only if you are in major cities. You have to be in those major cities only, because as Chinju just mentioned, we have 5 veterinary schools. So that 5 schools only where you can actually go and do the research, and other things are in the industries like Chinju already mentioned. So but if you have a veterinary the licensing, then you can actually move anywhere, and you can come back, to the school for teaching or anything, and 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 if you want to move to some other place, because it's a high demanded profession. So what happens is you can actually work anywhere, and then you don't have to actually worry about what I am doing today, or if I move to that place, what will happen, and there is no school there or anything like that. That's what that was for us here. We actually moved to, this is a kind of a small city. It has maybe more than 120,000 people living here. So but still has multiple hospitals, and there's a lot of job and everywhere, and you can actually move easily back to a city, where you can actually find a job, and anywhere you can actually move, and you can actually move easily to US, and you can work there. You don't have to get a university job or anything to US, because any veterinarian in Canada getting offers from US hospitals too nowadays, because US also having a candidate market now, so they are also going low on their veterinarians. So there's opportunities everywhere, and at the same time, okay, you got somewhere to settle down, and now you are actually looking more like an academic job. You can get that one too. So
it gives you more room to, as a family, if you have to take both others' interests in mind. So if you have to move to a smaller city, you still have options. I felt that if I have to stay in academy, I have to stay in the city. So there are certain limitations. We have to stay in close to the universities, things like that. But I think for somebody who likes research and all, there are obviously a lot of opportunities, but I should say it's a little demanding career. It's a little it's a little what do you say? There is a lot of competition in academia. So as long as you are fully passionate and dedicated to that, you will surely land a good job. It takes some time in Canada to land an academic position, but it's doable. We have a lot of we know a lot of people here, who have landed good jobs. So it's possible it takes more.
Okay, so in short, like after PhD, you can land in an academic job, then in industries, and then if you have cleared vet licensing and all, you can you will get a mobility, so you can just move. Like if you want a break, you can work as a vet and then come back to your research work or postdoc, like that. So
I think it gives you an upper hand in the jobs you apply also, especially if you're applying in the veterinary field, like veterinary program, veterinary faculty. If you apply for a faculty job, you are always on an upper hand if you have a license on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
This was a wonderful informational video. So I hope like most of those who are interested in taking NAVLE and getting veterinary license in Canada might have understood in detail about the NAVLE process, and also the experience you shared is also wonderful. So they'll get an idea of what is happening as a as a vet when you come there as a vet, what will be the scenario there. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.